There we go. I think we are live. Hello, everyone. Chris, you there?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Are you in the cloud somewhere? Is your head in the cloud?
I'm in the cloud.
Did you pick the wrong cloud?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. All right. So, aura readings and aura readings.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk all things aura and the like, I guess.
Okay.
Psychic imaging. Should we call it that?
Psychic
Is it
imaging.
safe? Psychic imaging.
Well, I know there's
diagnostics.
I know there's this thing about auras, and psychics talk about doing aura readings and seeing colours and rainbows and the like, but I don't have a huge amount of experience, I don't think, with that. Do you?
No, so I think we've seen it at the odd psychic fair up and down the UK, here and there. It occasionally pops up as something people are doing. Obviously, I did a bit of research for this, but I don't. What was I going to say? I don't see that equipment at the fairs that I've been to. So unless there's a new upgraded digital version, I don't know, because you've got all these cool photographing methods from the 30s that then kind of got upgraded to an actual machine in the 70s. But they look really expensive and actually sound very expensive because it involves sending a current through your body so that they can actually photograph the energies coming off you, which sounds really cool.
Are they exciting energy? It's a tingling sensation. If you crank that up, it might be a little bit painful. But you're talking aura photography.
Yeah, aura photography.
What about general auras? So the sort of before we had the machines, the psychics just see them. Is that a very old thing?
Yes or no. I guess it's old if you consider anything past the 50s old.
No, I don't.
So all these Instagrammers would obviously, probably consider that to be ancient. But I don't,
Millennials.
but I don't. Millennials think that that's ancient, but no, I'm not familiar with being that big a thing, or certainly not in my life, like something I've come across much of. So the resurgence of the West's interest in the chakra system, slightly different, but I don't. I can't imagine you would see, if you were going to see these great yogis in the East, I don't think you would actually be seeing any of them with ancient photography equipment trying to capture your aura. So
aura photography, the photographing of auras, what is the point? Because you don't need a machine to photograph the aura in order to see it. You just get a psychic that does aura readings to see it. So is this more about like investigation and
scientific proof, isn't it?
Right, okay.
It's an attempt to document in order to explain and legitimize the work that psychics do. So I think it's more a case of proving to a mundane or sharing what they can see to you. So I think that's more the idea, is that you could actually take a photograph. The same way that when you read cards in front of somebody, I think mundanes like tarot cards, particularly because there are books about tarot cards. Right. So if they remembered what was in the spread, they could go and do their own research afterwards to kind of verify what the psychical medium told them.
I think that's that they look mystical, because they do, don't they? Like tarot cards, they look quite cool and mystical, like.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean.
It's a secret code. People like secrets, and they like secret codes. And if there's a bunch of pictures in front of them, and you're able to give them information based on those pictures, and they look at the pictures and they think they're just a bunch of weird images. Oh, look, that one says death. That one's got a picture of a tower that's blowing up. This is all creepy. How do you know all the secrets that you're telling me? And they're like, oh, you don't know how to read the cards. You're not privy to the information I know. Because I see the psychics at the psychic fairs, and then I see these little stations set up, like aura reading, photography stations, like a little photo booth, kind of like the photo booth where you you go out on a piss up, and they give like the little hats and stuff like that. You can hire them out, and then but they're like that, but they haven't got none of the hats, and you just stand there. Sometimes they don't even put you in a booth. Sometimes they just put you against a plain wall. When I had mine done, it was just against a plain wall. And then they put the camera on. And there's the two types. The old-fashioned ones, which you hold on to the things. And then the new ones, which is basically just an Instagram filter. Am I right in thinking that?
Well, I'm pretty sure it is, to a certain extent, of kind of, it's trying to read something from that room. But it's not going to be the electrical charge that's necessarily what the original ones were doing.
Right.
But I could be wrong. I'm no expert in digital photography. Although my understanding is that the electrical charge is what's allowing the photograph to capture that aura space around you. So how they do that digitally, I'm not sure. But then we got all sorts of cool things in archaeology now, like raking light and all that kind of stuff. So maybe it uses something like that. I don't know.
Okay. So is there one better than the other? So the modern one with the filters and that, is that supposedly better than the old-fashioned way of doing it? Because I've had both done, and I
imagine it's
dug
cheaper.
out the pictures, but there is a difference in the image. So I figured that maybe there is something to one's more accurate. Like HD and standard definition, maybe?
I don't know, because your aura changes all the time. So I guess...
Mine doesn't.
What, you're a robot, so yours would always look dead.
I'm a very consistent person in most of the things I do.
I don't know about that.
I'm generally consistent, I think. People are listening, comment in. Is Liam consistent? Yes, Liam's consistent. I mean... With the aura photography, in the Instagram-y filtery one, I came out black. And then in the old-fashioned one, there was a bit more high definition. I also came out a black. So I'm thinking, I am quite consistent. I'm also consistent with the clothes I wear.
Clearly. I was going to say, I don't think you're fooling anybody, Liam, is all I'm going to say about that.
Well, I had an aura reading by a psychic. Now, the psychic, she said I had a grey aura. Everything was a grey.
Yeah.
I don't know if she was blind, because I had a grey hoodie on, and the background was also grey. So whether she was seeing me, or whether she forgot her glasses. I mean, it's somewhat consistent with this one, because although there's a lot black, there's also a lot grey around there.
I can't believe you did that.
Where's aura photography? I mean, we've got to have aura photography photographs.
So, no, I can imagine yours could definitely be grey, probably 50 shades off.
I feel like this lends credibility to aura photography. Thank you very much, Lauren. I think aura photography is definitely a legit way of making money.
It's a legit way of making money. I definitely think you should start doing that. So the kind of second method is the one that's famous through Gwyneth Paltrow. She put it on her Goop a little while back.
What? She put it on what?
On her Goop. She likes to name things weird. It's her website, her brand, Goop. Oh, come on, you can't be that surprised. Her child is called Apple. Surely you know. that Gwyneth Paltrow likes to name things. That
What? And it's a regular website. It's not like OnlyFans or something.
no, it's a regular website. It's for lifestyle advicey kind of one. It's where she documents all her weird new age behavior.
Goop.
How have you never come across Goop?
I don't know. Oh my gosh, it's a thing. A modern lifestyle brand, Goop.com.
Yeah, she sells like £1,000 it was £1,000 a pair of yoga pants. You should go get some.
The ultimate pleasure device is back. Shop now. Right. Okay. Oh, it's a double-sided wand vibrator. Chris, you don't have to know some smutty, nasty materials, do you?
No, Goop is not that. Only you could go straight to that.
It's on the homepage.
But obviously,
it's on the homepage.
Well, obviously, she's all about women loving themselves.
Food, style, travel, wellness. Good Goop PhD. Can you do a PhD in Goop? If you can, it looks like it's all to do with Lyme disease. Well, it says Goop PhD. I'll click on it.
Don't. What, you just going down a rabbit hole that's not needed now. But the point is, it's one of these kind of, it's her lifestyle brand that's all like, this is the latest thing, blah blah blah. So, but obviously there was a mobile photographer, I think, of some description, that got one of these really expensive kits from the 70s and had found a way to change it so that they could go round. Obviously that uses Polaroid technology, so it's a double exposure. But yeah, she was on Goop. That's how she mentioned the aura photography on Goop, and obviously she's got her photographs on there that look way cooler than what you just showed me there in your mock-up there, lovely as it was.
But I'm a very dark person, apparently. People say I have a dark personality. I definitely have a dark sense of humor, and yeah, generally, I don't know. Can you see auras like without a camera?
I do, but I don't see them in that kind of brightly coloured variety way.
Well, black's not really brightly coloured. I mean, it's on glossy paper.
No, my point is, yours probably wouldn't be grey. What they're actually seeing is the void around you, I think. I don't think they would be seeing your aura. They're probably seeing the void.
There is a void deep within me. I tried to fill it, but nothing can.
Yes. It's a lifelong condition for you, bless.
Yes.
So okay. I think Tiger agrees. She thinks you have a void. So anyway, back to auras. So yeah, so I think they're popular again because obviously New Age, loving of the chakra system. So that's probably the next place to kind of go, because I don't know how well people really understand the chakra system, because obviously it's watered down for Western consumption.
Watered down and commercialized.
Yeah, for Western consumption.
So what is what is it then? Explain the very basics at its core. What is it?
What, the chakra system?
Yeah.
It's like anything. It's a mapping system for drawing energy. So it's how you understand it.
Chris.
It's a mapping system. How can I break that down any further than that?
Well, what you
It's a color-coded mapping system
I do
for
like
energy centers of the body. You do.
I do.
And in this variety, there is no black.
Oh, there's no black auras in the chakras.
There's no black in the chakra system.
Okay, because I've likened chakras to.
She's back again.
Saucepans, and auras to the steam that emanates from the saucepans. And you look at the saucepan and you see the steam arising, and you look at a person and you see the chakra energetic centers, and then you see the fuzziness that comes out.
Okay.
And you can see when you look at the saucepans, when you look at that hob, You can tell what they're cooking,
Okay.
and you can also tell what gas mark it's on or electric mark it's
Okay.
on. Because if it's
Okay.
a low down, there's an imbalance now. There's not a lot coming out of that one. I once
Okay.
met a lady that had a cracked chakra. Can you remember her?
Oh yeah.
Someone had
I do
jammed a
remember her.
splinter in her chakra. It was a curse, but it manifested in the form of a broken chakra. She was a master Reiki practitioner, so you'd have thought she would be able to fix it. As it turns out, she was not able to fix it.
But then, do you not feel that like that was mainly because of she has a westernized version of what the chakra system is, as a part, rather than dealing it from a more kind of Eastern Ayurvedic kind of way of looking at the system, and therefore she doesn't understand what chakras actually are?
I think that if it's a mapping system of energetic parts or energetic components of a person or the soul or whatever you want to say, that's magic. And I think this lady knew fuck all about magic. That's why she couldn't do nothing. I think she knew nothing about magic. I think she went on a course and tried to learn some, which are basically.
I'm sure she's got certificates, Liam.
Oh, no doubt. You don't become a master Reiki practitioner without a certificate or two.
Yeah.
Also without parting with a fair amount of money as well.
Oh, they ain't cheap, those certificates.
No.
They've normally got gold embossed stamps and shit on them. They're the legit stuff.
If it's embossed, you know it's legit.
Exactly. To be fair, it's probably Lauren that prints them on a special printer over in California, isn't it? Lifestyle capital of the world.
You think that Lauren in the comment section? You think she's some sort of scam artist, scamming people?
Definitely.
Do you think she owns the Centre of Excellence, that place that does all the diplomas in witchcraft and the like? Lauren,
I guarantee it.
Have you been up to no good? I think there's some financial skullduggery going on when it comes to Lauren. I think she's the root of all evil.
There you go. There's the proof.
A bitch has to make money somehow. Yes, but there's ethical ways about doing that. I mean, you could have gone and sold yourself, not sold yourself out. Would have been preferable, Lauren. Think of the children that will grow up but looking for the magic, and there will be none. There will just be the Centre of Excellence dishing out rather shit diplomas that you're getting a cut off. Shameful behaviour.
Disgusting.
On a side note,
yeah,
we will be launching a witchcraft diploma for those who take part through the Patreon.
One day, maybe one day.
The I Learned Witchcraft from the Internet diploma in witchcraft. And it will have some sort of a certificate. Now, I've noticed.
Maybe Lauren will print them for us.
Maybe Lauren can print. We might have to do a deal with Lauren, yeah? Deal,
Lauren. Right? Definitely.
Because you do the diplomas and that, and I've noticed you pay the fee, but then you have to pay an extra fee if you want them to send the diploma. You can print it out by PDF for free, but if you want the glossy one, you have to pay like extra amount of money. It's like 60 quid on some of these, I think.
Yeah, that paper ain't cheap.
This is not good, Chris. This is not good. It makes a mockery of everything we stand for.
I don't know. I like Lauren's next comment.
We do kind of stand for mockery, but if they're dumb enough to buy my certificates, they deserve what they get. She's starting to sound like a sociopath now.
Yeah, you know, I don't know where she's got that from. Chris, maybe she's got a black aura too.
Chris, you do like teaching and that. You know this thing that they call safeguarding now, safeguarding the vulnerable, you know, children and adults and people with disabilities and the like. Well, what about those? What if they fall for one of Lauren's diplomas? What if they think, oh, all I need to be a witch is to buy the diploma and answer the multiple choice questions, and then I will finally be a witch. I think it's unethical. Lauren,
Why
you
should
should
I?
be ashamed of yourself.
Lauren really should be ashamed of herself. Yeah.
I bet Lauren's aura is blacker than mine. I bet it's bad.
Oh, I don't know.
Or do you think it's full of gold from all of those embossing?
Possibly.
Do you think
all that
of the
embossing
machine
she's got a glittery
is
aura.
full of glittery aura? Do people have glittery auras, Chris?
I don't know. I don't see them as colour.
Right, because I don't know. If you don't see them as color, then you don't see them, do you? Because I always think about auras and that. I don't see coloured auras. But if I walk, you know, when you walk past a smelly person, they smell. Or if you walk past a person in general, you get obviously psychic feedback from them and a load of stuff. And you can track it back to where it's kind of emanating from, not from body parts, but from energetic parts. I kind of feel it through that way, but you don't just see a colour. Because to me, it don't make a lot of sense, the colour thing. I don't see the point. Like, why would you just want to look at colours? And like they break it down, like I had it breaking down on this thing I was looking at. Where is it? Somewhere. It's all on Goop on my computer now. Where you've got different colours, like a rainbow, and then you've got different fields, and then each field's tied to this or tied to that. It seems a bit much. I mean, I never remember when I was younger and when I was a young witch and I was doing like aura readings or readings for people and the like, and, you know, learning me craft and that. I can't remember learning the colours and then learning the energetic parts and stuff. For me, it's just like a little bit more organic. So is it literally a case of this thing is a load of crap? Or is it that everyone clearly who sees auras sees a colour map and all these colour maps are the same? Was there some sort of international coding system? Like to codify all? Was a legislation passed in the UN or something? European Union passed some legislation that meant, right, all you psychics now, we're going to be... Remember when they switched over from analog to Freeview digital? And they were like, you need to get a Freeview box or your telly's not going to work, right? Was it like that with auras? Like when the new aura photograph machines came out, they're like, right, okay, we're changing the frequency now. Okay. As of 1950 or what have you, then we're all going to be, now red is this colour, red means this. This means that we'll get rid of the black one because the new ages have come about and we don't like anything dark. So we're getting rid of that one. Okay. No longer will you see that. Like they switched Living TV off. I think it's really now or something in it. Same old shit shows, but...
Have you finished your rant now?
It wasn't so much a rant. I can do better. Would you like me to?
No, let's not do better. You can save it for later.
I did promise I'd be on my bestest behaviour today.
You're doing well, actually. I'm not going to complain. So my feeling is, as you expect it to be, is that all the psychics I've ever met that have that kind of, lack of a better word, ability, or that's how they see, it's obviously the same that works with anything I talk about witchcraft with, is that, you know, a red candle means something to everybody, not necessarily the same thing. There are things that kind of have been forced upon us by culture, you know, so that most people do associate red candles with love, that sort of thing. But obviously it doesn't work as simply as that because it's you having to manipulate and charge that energy. So surely you pick something that's more appropriate to you. So obviously to me, it would involve you understanding what that mapping system is trying to tell you. So, you know, you seeing them in that colour is some arrangement between your optic nerve and your subconscious that's making you see that change of colour. So that must mean something to you. I don't see it as colour. I'm with you more on the kind of, for lack of a better word, scent or smell, or, you know, I always use that word taste, but it is that. There is that kind of, you can see the extent of it, doesn't always have a colour, but it has a opaqueness to it. It has a solidity to it. you can see how far it stretches and where it's stretching from, but not necessarily. I don't get colours. But that could have more to do with the fact a lot of my vision I switched off years ago, because it's just safer that way. You can't
We go
see everything
crazy.
all the time, otherwise you go
crazy
mad.
otherwise. Yeah, that's the what mad people. So
So,
I find the kind of concept of this quite limiting, because if you or me were to do looking at something and the kind of waft we get, it's like data. So it's
yeah.
not like analog. You know, like you send a text message which just got text in it, and then they brought out like a pictures, and you've got pictures in that. Well, now it's the data. Now it's like you can send files,
We get full
you
on
can send this,
hexacode.
you can send all sorts of stuff. Whereas with that information that comes, and when you interact with it, it comes with like everything. It's not like here's a color that's linked to that. Oh, that's brighter than that one. That means that that one's a little bit growing. That one's a happy. That one's a not happy. That one's depleted. You get so much more information. So I'm wondering, are we on digital and everyone else is on analog?
I don't know.
Or what? Or is it just a specialist thing that's what all the person's mind can cope with until they push themselves further? Is that, okay, you get the colours and then you push beyond that? Because I don't see many people trying to go further than that. They say, oh, I see auras. Okay. Where are they coming from? How are you reading that? How are you pushing that further? And there's not a lot of that. I also wondering if you're colorblind, do you only see half the aura? Or no colorblind people see auras?
Wow.
If they revoked your license, if you're colorblind, you're not allowed to see auras. Or if you are colorblind, is the aura still there and you just can't see it because you can't see that color? Or what? It's a mystery. This is what the paranormal people should be investigating, I think.
Okay. Figuring out how it differs between one person to another. I quite like that. It's very scientific of you.
Well, I am quite a scientist.
I quite like that. It would be an interesting study to figure out exactly how that works. But yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily pushing past. I think it's more a case of, do you not find this with a lot of trainee psychics though? When you meet them for the first time, they've got an idea of what they should or shouldn't be seeing, or how they should be seeing it.
Trainee. Did you say trainee or train wreck?
Trainee.
Trainee. Okay.
So someone that has some raw ability but hasn't yet developed it into anything. You get that kind of sense.
Most of the psychics at the psychic fair then.
Okay, he's going to be like that today. Warning everybody.
No, I'm on my best behaviour.
So yeah, but do you not find that that's partly it? Is a case of they've got an idea. You know, put it this way: when we've had I went to call them patients. Then how bad's that? Wrong job.
That's really bad.
When you meet clients that sometimes say things like, oh, I don't have much psychic ability. And then you get talking, you're like, but that's all psychic ability. What you're talking about there is psychic ability. But they don't see it because it's not what they see in videos and on TV about what psychic is. Because I don't think they always understand
the stereotypes
they don't
of psychic.
What they expect to actually see is, you know, flashes from Charmed, or you know, that did you get what I mean? Like that popular culture has kind of coloured the way they expect to see. So people expect to, you know, touch an object and get flashes, and you're like, well, it really depends on, you know, or what was it? That's So Raven. Do you remember that? Was that Nickelodeon or something in the 90s? And she used to do that voice. No,
I don't
know that one. And she'd see the future.
The one from Charmed. Is it Phoebe, the one that sees the future? And
Phoebe sees the future.
She pick up a glass and she'd go, and then you'd see it if you were watching at home. Then they do like a fadey kind of what she sees in that, and then she'd go back. And then they'd all be like, attention seeking bitch. What did you see? And she'd be like, I
Yeah.
saw that someone's going to hit someone over the head with this grass and break their skull. That's what I saw.
Yeah.
Or it was normally something
Whereas
to
for
do with demons and that, but you know.
yeah, and then I think that partly it's because obviously you then have how it's portrayed with things like, oh, I don't know, I call them the kind of Lassie-esque kind of TV shows. You know, the ones kind of Midwestern American kind of ones, where they go and help. You know, Timmy's found down a well, but they don't know where the well is. So, you know, they have to go. They have to go, and the psychic tells them, "Oh, well, it's by the ocean," and you know, they get the kind of like what we were talking about, the kind of psi cards in the gift, that kind of part of sorry, ESP cards in the gift, like that kind of, she gets a glimpse but not the full picture. So it's not moving images like
Yeah.
it's painted with, you know, so you kind of like, you get somebody that expects, they have an expectation, thanks to popular culture, what things look like. So when you talk about, you use the word like aura, people jump straight to the brightly coloured layers upon layers of, you know, or because I've had it a few times at work when colleagues have asked me, oh, how's my aura looking today? And I've kind of gone, the same as it did yesterday and the day before. You really need to stop drinking. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it is one of those.
Oh.
It's one of those kind of like, in that moment you're getting a snapshot picture of what's going on and where it's being pulled from. But that couldn't be displayed in just colour. Like, I don't know how you would get that level of information just from colour.
Mm.
You know, but then even mundane see it when someone walks in and they've got a dark cloud above their head, kind of, you know, that kind of instinctive kind of, oh, she's having a bad day. Because as soon as you start to read energy in the room as opposed to aura, that starts to add a fourth dimension to it all, doesn't it? Of what you can see and what you can read from a situation.
More sophisticated reading.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I really, if I was being totally honest, I'm not sure how you do that well at a psychic event where there are so many people and having to try and zone in on a person stood in front of you when there's all
Oh,
that
I know.
feedback
I mean, there's all this
going
shit.
on
See,
everywhere
like
else.
they're always like really multicolored and
And the
rainbowy anyway. All
smells
of the
and
crystals that's about in the background, and it's all like all of the colors, and it's always purple in it. Purpley colors everywhere. All the posters, international medium here, international psychic there, all of that, and then you're literally like, you're trying to look at a rainbow that's in front of another rainbow that's in front of a shitload of crystals, and you're kind of like, what can I look into? Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know. It just never, to me, it never seemed like a kind of way of doing getting information that seemed logical. Because if you go by how much a mundane person every day you would to get from someone just from their emotions, like talk about empath and that kind of thing, when you talk about picking up emotions and that, well, that gives you a certain amount of information. Seeing the colors kind of sees what's going on a little bit is like a clue to what's going on in different energetic components of
but
the
surely
body.
you're going to have to reach beyond that, aren't you, to
Yeah,
give them
I
any
mean,
kind of information that's useful.
yeah, it seems a bit, I don't know, it just seems a bit, always seemed a little bit strange to me.
So, and other than like a I was there kind of photograph like you get when you go to Alton Towers or some theme park, of you shitting yourself on a roller coaster. Beyond that, I don't know what the mundane wants from that.
Well,
So
it's a take-home gift, isn't it? So I went to the psychic fair and
yeah,
I had me palm. Well, they don't really do palm readings a lot nowadays, do they? I
no,
had
I,
me
I hate that they
tarot,
don't do that
me
anymore.
tarot fortune read. She said a bunch of stuff that was quite interesting. Let's see if it happens. But I did get this souvenir. It's all about the souvenirs, isn't it?
Yeah.
souvenir, something that you can take home. You need to have something to take home. If you don't have any crystals or anything you like because you bought them all, then a nice little aura reading. If photograph's a bit interested, you can stick it on the fridge. I might stick that on the fridge. Pop it on the fridge, and people say, "What the fuck is that?" And I say, "That is my aura," and they'll say, "I can tell. I've got a bit of an aura going on at the moment. It's also dark."
That's called a shadow. Love.
I think that's a shadow. But there is a shadow that doesn't follow me about.
Yeah, that's called your soul.
I thought
the two of you were separated at birth. So, but yeah, I just, in terms of going further with the chakra system, that kind of mapping, not specifically the chakra system, but lots of other kind of mapping of energetic bodies. Now, to a certain extent, you can see somewhat of a purpose to that if you're diagnosing yourself or others, kind of looking at,
it's schematic at the end of the day, and it's a moving schematic, like on a Star Trek where they're under attack and you've got the big pretty picture of the ship up behind and all the little red dots of what systems ain't working, and there's a big chunk because some person's just blown it up with some photon torpedoes or something that ain't there anymore. Makes sense when you look at someone like that schematic of someone, but it's not a schematic as in here's a building diagram schematic of how it was built. It's literally a live thing that you interact with that constantly changes. See, that makes sense. That's perfect for diagnosis, but it's also brilliant for learning as well, because when you learn and you can see that
learning how something's put together,
there's the structure, this is that, what does that bit do? It's no different than dissecting a person, isn't it? When you take out what does that work and do? I don't know. We've evolved with it, but we don't need it. We'll get rid of one of your kidneys because you can survive without it, and you're lighter now. Well done. We'll give it to some person that needs it.
But no, I find that part, and obviously we wouldn't teach necessarily the chakra system, but some people that are clients of ours who are familiar with a chakra system, at least you can use it to demonstrate a point.
Language.
It's a language it's shared language that you can use in order to explain how something's put together. But I struggle beyond that with a massive need for it. I don't know if there were, if anyone's got any specific questions about auras or energy or anything like that, throw them at us.
Anything magic or witchcraft in general, you can always write a comment and we'll see if we can answer it.
So, but yeah, I've always struggled with that. I suppose there are other systems I would use more readily. And like I said, a big part of it is because the Western understanding of a chakra system is very different to the Eastern. So, so unless you've got a basis in kind of Ayurvedic medicine or folk medicines in those particular regions of the world, you're probably going to struggle with a chakra system other than what your yoga teacher has taught you. Which
is probably bollocks.
So when you think it's as sophisticated a system as, say, acupuncture in traditional Chinese medicine, where it's a full mapping system of you can tweak to a tiny fraction of your body to the end of a pinprick, like the chakra system works in almost an identical way, and there are a lot more than the 7 you're taught. So but it's just a case of understanding that mapping system. I suppose we don't really have anything in the West that equates to the same thing.
Well, we just told Tree of Life, didn't we? We generally just use Tree of Life in most Western occultism. Open up a Gripper's book. We did that podcast on Get Agrippa, Heinrich Agrippa, 3 books of occult philosophy. It's very much a lot of Western magical practice, certainly ceremonials, kind of adopted the Tree of Life glyph in order
the Zodiac man.
To draw
is the one we see a lot of.
Yeah, to kind of have a language to draw out and explain the kind of schematic of a person or energetic centers and stuff like that. And not even necessarily person, any old object. Because you don't hear people talk about, okay, this glass, can you tell me about its chakras?
Yeah.
And yet you say, can you split this up in the tree of life? Can you split it out and explain the different components and tweak them and that? Don't really see chakra people talking about that. They only really relate it with people.
With the human body.
But technically, if there's a mapping system, you could use a chakra system to map anything that exists. Yeah. Possibly even that doesn't quite exist, not in the physical plane anyway.
Yeah. You could map the chakra system onto a spirit or a deity or a salamander. Like, there is no reason why it couldn't be applied, but I don't think they are taught in that way, because they're not formally trained as to what that actually moves as. They're taught that these all exist at a different frequency and they are harmonized, and that you can
do this
use
guided meditation, learn it, and then repeat it to your yoga class.
Yeah.
Maybe put some of these doTERRA essential oils on, the ones that are for the specific chakras. Maybe light a candle. Ideally, you need a couple of candles, one for each chakra. All this kind of thing. It becomes very commercialized, becomes very basic with not a lot of, don't like it. Don't like this commercialization of stuff like that. And we own a bloody witchcraft shop.
Yeah.
Right, so are we going to delve a little deeper, or do you think we've gone a bit too deep at the moment? Where do you want to go with that?
Well, possibly, but let's do that anyway. So where do you want to go next? Oh, here we go. Lauren's jumped in again.
What about plants? I like plants. Would you say they can be mapped out with chakras? They have so many repeating body parts. Yes, okay, that's quite an interesting one. So obviously you think of the chakras, but does it necessarily mean that that's in the same order? If it's a plant or if it's something, maybe they have more chakras, maybe they have less chakras. Maybe you might want to dissolve your chakras into one energetic center, like a lot of magicians try to do. Ooh, that's too deep now, isn't it? We shouldn't talk about.
Oh, don't we scare people when we talk
magic.
about dissolving chakras?
Dissolving chakras, yeah. So in terms of the mapping system, you're talking about the energetic parts. So there's physical parts and there's energetic parts, like the soul is what we'd probably call all of them combined together. So the mapping system is what layers of the onion are there, what layers of the soul and that sort of thing are there, and how do they converge on the physical plane. And with the chakra system, with the tree of life is what we would use. Then you've kind of got the idea of, okay, we'll list them, but because we're writing it on a piece of paper, it's got to be kind of two-dimensional.
Yeah.
As opposed to being all around. So with auras, they kind of show it as a kind of like a rainbow thing. But at the same time, you kind of would see it more as like they put points in various different places that maps to the physical representations on a physical body, but it doesn't mean it's there necessarily. It is everywhere because it's still part of you. But if you were to stereotype symbolically where that would emanate from, then you might pick that part of the body. So
and then you've got to remember that obviously when you were doing that for different classifications, obviously for a human being, how many of those chakras exist within the physical realm and how many of them exist beyond. So it might be that the third eye of a plant isn't within its physical body, that the third eye might be shared with the next weed next to it of the same species. So you got two dandelions together, they might share a third eye. Like, so when you start to then map something that is not human on the same system, you've got to remember it's got to be flexible enough to actually adapt to each species that you are applying it to. So, and obviously its root chakra is not necessarily going to be in its root system, but I just felt I had to say that. But it's an energetic screening.
So if you're saying, if we have different chakras, or your mapping system, if we're using the chakra system as your mapping system, you might say that all rosemary is a species of plant. So all rosemary has these all the same. So it's the same thing, just in a different place. Whereas everything down here, maybe at its root is its physical body. So that piece of rosemary has its own chakra. That piece of rosemary has its own chakra. But if you went further than that, you're actually connecting to like a hive. So it would be the totality of rosemary as a species, perhaps. Again, I don't use the auras and I don't use the chakra system. I just use the tree of life because I just find it so much simpler. But you can it's easier to see and take people along that route. So on the thothwitchcraft.com website, the Book of Shadows, I wrote a blog post in November 26, 2018. It's a little while ago now, called The Magic Circle and the Aura. Can you remember that, Chris? Where I gave away a bunch of stuff about auras and that, and it went over the minds of went over the heads of a lot of people. So, what is an aura? I says, okay, so what is an aura? Aura is often been described as the electromagnetic energy field that usually extends from the body. It surrounds all people, often taking on the form of an etheric egg shape. You see that stereotypical gay egg, the rainbowy one. Everyone has an aura, blah, blah, blah. Of course, I wrote about a magic circle is simply a circle spheral field around you. So when you're casting a magic circle, if you're casting it with someone, then it would be yours combined, that sacred space combined together. Within a ceremonial magic, and if you're in the Witchcraft Live Facebook group, there is a whole very, very detailed talk that I gave comparing and contrasting ceremonial magicians' magic circles and the kind of Wiccan-y casting of a circle, because they're completely different. Comparing and contrasting and seeing how they work. Within the ceremonial magical system, that magic circle is the aura.
Yeah.
So when you're defending it, you're defending your aura. You don't have to draw it on the floor like they tell you to do in all the fancy books, because it already surrounds you. It is your area.
Energy field.
The aura is the magic circle. What are the connotations of that, Chris? If you start introducing strange Hebrew words of spirits and the like, and you literally tattoo them on your aura, which is the equivalent of writing a fucking circle on the floor with all the tetragrammaton, this, that, and the other, calling in this, calling in that. What are you doing essentially, Chris, when you're doing that? You're inviting them in.
With each one, you're inviting entities to not only interact with your aura spheres, and I say spheres as in plural, of multiples, because obviously it's layers upon layers that you're giving them access to. When you start to actually look at them in that way, you're singling them out. So if you were to look at a diagram drawn by a ceremonial magician, what you're seeing is layers upon layers that might be multiple layers of the aura, or they may just be representations of how they're layered upon tattoo in one particular sphere. but that is essentially what they're doing, is pulling in energies from various different places, with from various different spirits, to assign them to watchtowers, should we say, which is where the watering down happens in the Wiccan world, is this kind of taking the idea of guardian spirits applying themselves to layers within the onion, which is then written down in this quarters set up, because obviously that's how you would post sentries. But that's the idea that you are essentially giving, I want to say ownership, but responsibility of different parts of your energetic body to sets of protective forces often.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot, whereby you've got a ceremonial magician that's starting out, and they find a book and they inscribe on the floor, oh, I've got to draw this a circle around me and inscribe these are magical words and the like, and it protects me. So I'm calling in these things to protect me. They don't understand how this works, because some of the unscrupulous grimoire writers will put in iffy translations, but also iffy spirits. And you're essentially, how that works is, you might not even necessarily be calling that spirit in. You might be calling that spirit in, or those spirits in, but you might not be. What the spirits outside of that, the ones that are supposed to say dangerous or are going to attack you, they would look at that and they would see that inscribed, that signature on the aura, and it's essentially saying, I belong to this spirit. It's literally like a tattoo. I belong to Yahweh, for example. And the spirit might think, oh, that's Yahweh's property. I don't want to upset Yahweh. I think I'll piss off because I don't want that fight. Now, things might go on all right for a little while, but when you start inscribing a spirit's name on yourself and invoking it for a protection, it might ignore you for a while, and it might work because other things might be scared. It's the equivalent of in prison saying, I'm Big Bubba's bitch. Well, if you go around calling yourself Big Bubba's bitch, Big Bubba might turn up one day and claim his bitch. And that is not something you want. You do not want to be Big Bubba's bitch. Some people might be lost at this point, but...
Possibly, but I think the concept stands, which is essentially, be careful what you is a drawing on the floor, if you're following some of these old grimoires, because one, they were never inscribed on the floor, which is why you won't find evidence of those. You won't find these spaces looking like that. So at the very most, they may have put down a circle of sand, or notice how I didn't say salt. It may be a circle of sand, or what was ever earth from your homeland, or a local graveyard dirt, are all used in these kind of representational boundaries. You are unlikely to have taken chalk and drawn it down. Don't you think a lot more witches would have been caught, and ceremonial magicians would have been in various levels of trouble? You'll also notice that the floor of a Mason lodge, that checked pattern, is not easy to draw something like that on. So it would be very confusing to have a checkerboard underneath a complicated ceremonial magician marking. So just to let that kind of sink in a little bit with you, we'll have to do one on ceremonial magicians at some point, and grimoire tradition maybe, but to actually kind of go, to let that sink in, you won't find those sorts of representations written down. And obviously the actual drawing itself is a representation of what they are doing, so it is more a shorthand of representing what is going on, as opposed to necessarily what was being used. I don't know about you, but if I'm going into battle, which, you know, imprisoning some kind of entity so you can get information from it, which is what most of the Goetics and the Lesser Key of Solomon is all about, is, you know, if you're going to go to battle like that with, you know, with entities that you are not fully familiar with, tattooing, which is essentially what it is, random spirits you have no connection with whatsoever, is probably not a good idea. So, you know, you're not going to use the prison metaphor again. You're not going to go into prison and start putting random tags on your body because you went through Wikipedia before you went in the joint, and you basically selected out big scary gang tattoos and thought, well, if I have that one on my shoulder in case I come into deal with those,
Sons of Anarchy.
and then I'll have, yeah. Or, you know, if I really get in trouble, there's some cartels I'll draw on that arm. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you just, because eventually those credentials are going to be checked, and that's what it comes down to, is eventually someone is going to check those credentials. And, you know, if you don't have those spirits with your back, obviously we could go further into exactly how these work, but I think that would be better in the context of a different session where we explain ourselves properly. But kind of, Lauren, for starters, did we actually say what you said, no, keep going on about? Because I don't know if we answered that.
I don't know. We'll wait for her to respond, and I'll just say something occulty, like, yes, within the great mystery lodges, you will find the checkered floor. What is that checkered floor? What does it symbolize? Chess, the grand game of chess. What are the secrets of the grand game of chess? What chess piece are you? Are you but a pawn being used? Question to ask yourself. There she is.
Oh, dissolving chakras.
Dissolving chakras. Yes, you can't use vinegar to dissolve your chakras. Don't try it. It doesn't work.
Even that apple cider vinegar that everyone seems to love at the moment.
Apple cider vinegar. A 4/5 vinegar with an apple cider base will not dissolve your chakras. What's the idea of a dissolving the chakras? Why do people attempt to do it? Is it because they're nuts? Because there's the whole idea of opening up the chakras. Oh, I'm a spiritual. I want to open up the chakras. I cannot. It's too bright, Chris. It's too bright. Wait a minute. I'll turn the light up. It's too bright. The chakras are too bright. Close it down a bit. Close it down. Oh, that's too dark now. There we go. The idea of you know, the chakras and opening them up, and you can't even open them up too much. Yeah, we're going in and out of them and doing surgery on a daily basis for some clients that get into all sorts of situations. But never mind. Don't tell the Reiki people that. It'll blow their little minds.
At the end of the day, when you're opening up those chakras, the system like that, what you're doing is essentially painting a huge big target of saying, you know, this is where it is. This is where you attack from an astral point of view. So when you're starting to look at someone from an astral point of view and looking at your astral body, opening up those big flowers is basically inviting entities to see where the strength is or the weakness, depending on your glass half full, glass half empty outlook on life. But whereas dissolving them actually means that they are there, but they are somewhat invisible, is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, I think so. If we use a ceremonial term, within ceremonial magic, there's the idea of the great work, which is solidifying your energetic components. The equivalent in the chakra system, so if we went for the tree of life, the kind of a ceremonial magician system, the solidification to ascend after death into some sort of become some sort of god or whatever you live on, whatever. The equivalent in the chakra system, Western chakra system, what you would have is you'd have the dissolving of the chakras. So you want to converge them all into a solid, singular chakra, which is you, your core at the end of the day. Essentially, that's what you're talking about. You're going a little bit further down the rabbit hole because we think about, energetic centers, opening them up, realigning in the ceremonial magicians lodges, particularly the Golden Dawny ones. You talk about lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, lesser banishing ritual of the hexagram, middle pillar, combining all of them together. Don't tell you about that. They don't tell you about that, but that's what you're really supposed to do. And then building up, pulling all of your different component parts from wherever the fuck they are, some in the future, some in the past, some in other universes and the like, and put them all together. Magical equivalent in a chakra system with using a chakra language is basically a case of let's open up all these chakras, let's align them all nice and pretty like, and let's put them all together and converge, solidify, crystallize. I'm sure Lauren knows what we're talking about. I don't think anyone else will. But I'm sure Lauren knows what we're talking about. Yeah.
Metatron's cube. That's all I'm going to say.
Hashtag Metatron's cube.
Yeah.
And I think we've been here for an hour, so I think that's about it.
It is, unless anyone's got any burning questions.
Burning questions, quick. Got any burning questions before we go? This has gone really quickly today. I don't really remember what we talked about. Oh yeah, we talked about aura photography.
We did.
Aura photography.
We did. The only thing we haven't mentioned is Witch Wars 2.
Oh damn, we haven't mentioned Witch Wars 2.
No.
Okay, we could mention Witch Wars 2. I should have loaded up like a thingy-mabob, shouldn't I?
No, you may as well put the link in, because otherwise it'll devalue this YouTube clip, won't it? It'll mess it about for keep on chatting. So it's probably safer that you put the link to it in there.
Right. You need to get yourselves into the Witchcraft Live Facebook group, people. Witchcraft Live Facebook group. Let me do a type in, because I know
you do that and I'll talk. So so this round, so obviously every couple of months we do witchcraft in the Witchcraft Live group, we do Witch Wars. So the last one was all about hexing and a healing. This one is about Battle of the Hexes. This one is about espionage. This one is about spying. So what me and Liam have created is a dossier on a real person that you need to.
She got her mask on because it's COVID times. She got her mask on.
So you need to basically give us as much information by whatever divination methods you have in your box, or any new ones that you want to try out. So that can be a tarot, it could be a psychic reading. I'm not sure you get much from an aura photography photograph of a photograph, but you could try that too. Get the runes out, talk to spirits, or whatever method you want to use to basically complete as much information as you can to match what's on the dossier. Obviously, there is a redacted version of it on the Witchcraft Live, and Liam has just very carefully added the YouTube clip, obviously, which we did a video where we talked about it in more depth. But essentially, check it out. Obviously, like with Witch Wars 1, Witch Wars 2, the best answers that we get will win a prize. So,
cool prize.
From the faustiest witches ever.
Yeah.
We will be so you've got 4 weeks. Did we say till the 5th? I can't remember. All the details are in Witchcraft Live.
The Witchcraft Live Facebook group, in the top, gives you all the details and the little videos in there, and it's such fun. We've already had a couple people
Beginner
try
entries.
it. Beginner entries have already tried it. Whether they're close or not, I'm not going to say, because they might be listening. But
once you're registered, you can keep adding all the way up to the end of the month. So if you want to have multiple goes, and we'll just add the extra information that you come up with the next times. If you want to remove some of the information that you've got because you've got better information, you're not limited to using one method. So you can go and find out what the tarot has to say about it, and then try the pendulum, and then try something else. However you want to do it. And you don't have to do it as an individual. We'll accept group entries also. But yeah, you just need to let one of us know that you are joining. And obviously we'll keep pushing this the next couple of weeks until it happens.
Yeah, we're going to have to mention this all the time. You'll be sick of it. But we're not giving any away. We're not going to tell you about the secret person. That's what you got to do. You've got to tell us as much as you can about the secret person. Yes. Spying is fun. Is that it?
Right.
I think that's it for another week. That was a strange one, I think.
Yeah, Lauren hasn't asked us any more questions, so and no one else has either. So we'll go with whatever happens next week. Yeah. Pleasure as always.
Goodbye, everyone.